No mistakes in the tango, Donna. Not like life. Simple.
Really, Mr. Pacino, there are no mistakes in tango? For all of us who dance tango and have stepped on our partners or have been stepped by our partners, we all know that this is not true. But really, what is hidden behind this expression that there are no mistakes in tango? In this video, I'm going to answer the question if there are mistakes in tango or not. And I'm actually going to tell you the story of how I handled mistakes in the past and how I handle mistakes now. And also through this story, you can understand how handling mistakes can be either beneficial or maybe harmful. Welcome to Goodnight Tango, your channel about tango in real life. I'm Christos, I'm dancing tango for 8 years now, and for the last 3 years I'm also writing about that in my blog. This channel is here to encourage you to start your own tango journey and hopefully be there for you in your first steps in it. So, are there mistakes in tango or not? Tango is like any other language. We learn to speak and we learn to listen in order to communicate with each other. And obviously, when you speak and when you communicate, mistakes can happen. But for all of you who already have started learning a new language, learning a foreign language, you know that mistakes probably are part of the learning process. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn. There is nobody who started speaking a foreign language, English for me, for example, and was perfect right from the first time, right from the first word that they spoke. It's obviously not possible. Same is in tango. We learn tango, we don't know how to dance before we start, and as beginners, we all are prone to make mistakes. We are prone to make errors. And this results in miscommunication, problems in the dance. We step in our partner, they step on us. Something that we lead as a leader doesn't really happen in the follower's feet or in the follower's body as we expect it. And these are what we call mistakes. I will probably focus more on this video on the leader side because that is my experience mostly, and not so much on the follower side. So maybe some of the things that I will say are mostly from the leader side, but I believe that many of the items, many of the points that I will discuss also apply for the followers as well. When you're in a class trying to replicate something that you learned just now, if something doesn't work and you try it again and again, you see it doesn't work, the first thing that you can do, as in any other language, is ask your teacher. Ask your teacher to point to you what is the problem. Maybe there is something in the way that you communicate as a leader, the step, or there is something in the way that the follower is receiving your message and doesn't really understand it. So the best way to resolve any problems in the beginning phases, in the first phases, is asking your teacher, because otherwise, if you try to resolve it by yourself, it is very easy to fall into this blame game. You didn't understand it or you didn't lead it correct. And especially when you are in a couple, especially when you are dancing with your partner, this may be resulting to fights that you don't want. I actually remember my teacher telling me in the first year when I was dancing with my partner that whenever you want to practice here in the class and not practice at home alone. Because if you have problems and you try to resolve them at home alone, you will end up with fights, and that is not something that you like. However, the importance of mistakes or the definition of something being a mistake depends very much on the context. If you're in the class and you're trying something with your partner and it doesn't work because it's something new and you have to learn it, then probably it is a mistake. If you are in a Practica and you're practicing something, probably it is a mistake. But when you're dancing in a Milonga, you're actually working and you're actually communicating with the partner based on what you learn. So imagine that you are in the classroom and you're doing a classroom of like English or any other language. When you do a mistake, the teacher will tell you how to correct it, how to speak better, and you correct it. But when you are in the real environment, then let's say you meet with a friend that speaks English and you want to communicate. It doesn't make sense to start correcting or to start getting corrections from your partner, from the person that you're interacting with. So the same happens in tango. When we are in the Milonga, we're not actually in a classroom. We are not teaching each other. We are not learning from each other, or maybe we do, but not explicitly. We are learning in another way. I will explain later. But what happens is that we are socializing. we are dancing with somebody else, and we want to share a moment. We want to share a moment in the embrace with the other person. We want to share a moment listening to the music, enjoying the dance, and doing something together for 10 minutes. That's all. If we start correcting each other, if we start pointing out mistakes and saying, that was a mistake, how did you do that, and why did you do that like this, and it doesn't work like that, and blah, 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 then obviously you're ruining the socializing. Imagine that you're going out with a friend, and instead of discussing of whatever other issue you might want to discuss, they start pointing out all your grammatical or syntax error that you do in your language when you speak. Obviously, the whole date will be ruined, and obviously you won't want to go out with them again. So when you are in the Milonga and you dance with a partner, obviously that is when we have this application of the rule, there are no mistakes in tango. Because when you are dancing socially, whatever happens as a mistake is not actually a mistake. You can see it more as a miscommunication or misinterpretation, to be exact, especially for the leaders. So, for example, I said I tried to do something with 4 quick steps, like quick, 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 quick. And something didn't work. Like the third step, my partner did something slow. So I realized that this didn't work as I expected. I take notice of it. And if there is a mistake, I will try to do it again in order to make it correct. Okay. If I'm speaking and I make a mistake, I will try to repeat the same thing in order to say it correct. But here, instead of trying to repeat myself in order to make it correct, in order to repeat myself correctly, why not try to clarify myself? Why not try to use the same pattern, 4, 4 quick steps, for example, quick, 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 quick. But instead of doing the same steps that I did, try to do something different, some other pattern with 4 quick steps. In this case, the music is what we are discussing about. And I said my opinion, somehow it wasn't really understood. Next time, which something similar arises in the music, instead of saying the opinion with the exact same words, I will try to use some other words. I will try to use some other steps. And maybe this time it will be better understood. If you look at it this way, then they're not really mistakes. There are actually misinterpretations that next time you can correct and you can be more clear in your dance. Those misinterpretations during the Milonga are a very good opportunity to learn how to clarify yourself, to learn how to do something in a different way, and also to learn how to come back from a misinterpretation. So if somebody misinterpreted what you said, you need to know how to clarify. You need to know how to use other words in order to clarify what you said. The same can happen in tango. You need to be able to understand that something happened wrong, something was misinterpreted, and you need to be able to adjust quickly to find the next steps, the next words that you are going to say, so that the misinterpretation doesn't ruin the experience and the conversation can continue. And in the next time that you have a similar situation, you can clarify and make it with different words. So all these mistakes or these misinterpretations that happen in the Milonga, and actually your reaction to them, train you in order to be able to be quick on your feet and be able to react very quickly in order to continue the conversation without having any blocks. In the beginning, it is very natural, the most often reaction when something happens that is not what you expected. The most often reaction is to just stop, relax for 1 or 2 beats, and then continue. That is okay. That doesn't create any problem. But as you progress, as you face more misinterpretations, this phase of pause, this phase of regrouping yourself can be much shorter. So in the end, it can be so short that it might not even be noticed by your partner. And this is a key skill for any leader. When you manage to hide the mistakes or the misinterpretations in a way that the conversation, the dance flows naturally, and your partner doesn't realize there was a mistake, there was a misinterpretation, then imagine that you're having a conversation, something didn't connect very well in some point, but that didn't stop you from continuing the flow of the conversation and enjoying the whole of it. So in the end, you are training yourself to be able to provide a much more pleasurable experience to your partner in this way. As you progress in tango, this might be even more crucial as a skill. At some point, the leaders face a mindset shift and realize that they're not actually leading each and every step of their follower, of their partner. They are just suggesting, and the follower responds, and then they have to adjust. So there are many moments in your dance when you progress that you leave your partner to take the initiative, and you have to be able to adjust to what comes out of it. When you progress in your journey, being able to adjust to what comes out of your partner as a response to what you suggested is something very crucial. Maybe you suggested a forward cross, and instead of doing it a large forward cross as you expected, she did it a small one. You have to be able to expect it and adjust and react accordingly. In other situations, your partner might end up with their weight on a foot that you don't expect. So you expected that you get out of this pattern in parallel system, and you're suddenly in cross system. And this way, if you have trained yourself through mistakes and misinterpretations and you have managed to react quickly, you can easily adjust and adapt and find out the next step that you want to do. So in the end, when you come to a point where your dance is not a lead and follow, speaking and listening only, but is a constant flow between the two of you, between you and your partner, and you are suggesting and you're getting suggestions from your partner, this becomes more fluent. And the mistakes that you have made and the mistakes and the reaction that you had in them all through these years before, and the experience that you had from them, can actually help you in order to be able to adjust much more quickly to whatever happens in this improvisation. In the end, I want to leave you with this question. If tango is an improvised dance, this means that there is no predefined choreography. This means that I don't have to do step A and then step B and then step C. And if I don't do A, B, C, and I do A, C, B, this is a mistake. So whatever kind of sequence I follow, whatever kind of steps I follow, is there a mistake on that or not? Let me know in the comments, what's your opinion? Are there mistakes in tango or not? And how do you see them? And if you're in your first stages in tango and you have problems dancing with a partner that you don't know, with a stranger, maybe the video over here can help you. Check it out and don't forget to move forward both in the dance floor and in your life. Bye!